I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents. It's not American Idol, but some local teens try out for the opportunity of a lifetime.
I'm a good leader. I like leading people a lot.
Okay, are you bossy?
Some people say that.
Young people make a pledge and make a difference.
We want them to do something positive for themselves and their families, as well as their communities.
And a unique group celebrates a milestone. Well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Matt McClure has the night off. Tonight, a special edition of Currents as we focus on a vibrant young adult group that is helping to form tomorrow's leaders. The group is called Kujenga, and it's so popular that they actually need to hold tryouts for one of its programs. The Youth Leadership Ambassador Program looks for young people with potential who are ready to step up and become involved in the church. We sent our cameras to St. Gregory the Great Church in Crown Heights to find out why so many want to be a part of it.
I'm dedicated, I'm compassionate, I'm caring, I'm a good listener, I'm a good talker, I'm a good leader. I like leading people a lot.
Okay, are you bossy?
Some people say that. But I can follow people too.
We're going to invite you to come out to be a part of the Ambassador Program.
Leadership skills, teach about communication skills. We have sessions.
The Ambassador Youth Leadership Program. The youth that we asked to join our program are what we feel to be future leaders. Okay, they're youth who are involved in school activities, the youth that are involved in church activities. Usually they may belong to a youth group already. We want them to see that that is not where it ends. Today we have approximately 12 youth to interview from Brooklyn.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming out to the interview today. And I think you guys really have a lot to offer. We just finished our first year, and it really been a success. Bishop Sensorique, Father Caleb, really saw that there was a need to be, especially in the black community, to teach them leadership skills, but also to teach them about their faith, and to be able to mesh those two together.
With the Ambassador Program, it kind of gives me that chance to use that spirituality that I have and that mentality that I have to help give back to the community.
Brandon Cleveland, who this year is going to be an Ambassador of the Year. And the first couple of months in the program, he was so quiet, and to see him coming from like a shy guy to an outspoken guy and taking a leadership role means a lot to us.
Actions do speak louder than words, so that's how I got the courage to, step up, rise up from that, and to help become more involved. And to tell you the truth, it was a great experience for me.
Using that leadership skills that the Ambassador Program would give me, I could use that to help my parish grow and give ideas to them to make them grow and prosper. So it's a win-win. I get something and I give back. I'm really nervous. I don't know what I'm going to say in the interview at all. I've dealt with being committed to a lot of things at one time, time management, knowing what you have to do and your priorities.
Thank you. Hopefully, we'll see you at the retreat.
Okay. I'm very happy right now. I think I did good. Next step is to be accepted. Next step is to be accepted and to learn and grow.
Well, the good news, all of those we profiled in the piece made it into the program. Stay tuned, there's much more current straight ahead. When we come back, we'll have the day's headlines, including people across the United Kingdom may not get the chance to see the Pope when he visits. We'll tell you why. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, time to celebrate as the Kujenga group marks a milestone. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. A big announcement from Cuba yesterday as President Raul Castro says his government will allow more private businesses. This following recent interventions by the Catholic Church that led to dozens of jail dissidents being freed. We get details on that from CNN's Shasta Darlington in Havana.
President Raul Castro announced he's going to allow more private enterprise as communist Cuba fights to revive its economy. In a speech to the National Assembly, Castro said his government agreed to grant more licenses permitting Cubans to not only work for themselves, but to hire employees. In exchange, they'll pay taxes. That, he said, will help provide alternatives as the state sheds up to 1 million jobs, a full fifth of the workforce. Castro said those in need will be guaranteed social assistance.
Those who really can't work or are the breadwinners in the family. But we have to erase the idea that Cuba is the only country in the world where you can live without really working.
The government has launched a few small free market reforms. For example, in April, some barbershops were handed over to employees. And for a couple of years, fallow land has been turned over to private farmers to boost output. Castro said he has no intention of tearing down socialism. He called these structural changes to help preserve the system. In his speech, Castro also mentioned for the first time the release of political prisoners, a deal brokered last month by the Catholic Church in Spain. So far, 21 prisoners have been released and flown into exile. But Castro warned the state will continue to punish those who try to destabilize the country.
Don't be fooled. The defense of our sacred conquests, of our streets and squares, will continue to be the first responsibility of revolutionaries.
Despite expectations, Fidel Castro did not make an appearance at the assembly. He has re-emerged on the public stage talking about world affairs, but not once has he appeared by his brother's side.
And that is CNN's Shasta Darlington reporting. Chile may follow Argentina's lead and become the second Latin American country to legalize gay marriage. The head of Chile's Socialist Party says he plans to sponsor a bill that would allow same-sex marriage. Senator Fulvio Rossi also called on the church to be more welcoming. That came in response to remarks from a Chilean cardinal who called gay marriage in Argentina an aberration. From Rome, word that the Vatican's Pontifical Academy for Life plans to publish a document on the effects of abortion on women. The head of the academy says the document will look particularly at depression. It will also discuss the habit of abortion, in which women have undergone the procedure so often that it becomes something like, quote unquote, having a cup of coffee. Meanwhile, the former head of the Pontifical Academy for Life condemned U.S. regulators for approving a clinical trial for treatment based on human embryonic stem cells. He said destroying embryos to take their stem cells can only receive a negative judgment. A biotech firm is planning to test a therapy on patients paralyzed by spinal cord injury. From his summer home at Castel Gandolfo, Pope Benedict yesterday called on all countries to support a cluster munitions ban. We get more now from Rome Reports.
Pope Benedict XVI has expressed his profound satisfaction with the entering into force of the Convention on Cluster Munitions. He's called on all countries to support the agreement.
Con entrata in vigore della nuova convenzione, alla cui adesione esorto tutti gli Stati, la comunità internazionale ha dimostrato saggezza, lungimiranza e capacità nel perseguire un risultato significativo nel campo del disarmo e del diritto umanitario internazionale.
During the Angelus, Pope Benedict also recalled the exemplary lives of several saints, such as St. Alphonsus Maria de Liguori, founder of the Redemptorists and patron of confessors, and St. John Vianney, the Curé of Ars, patron recalled in the year for priests. Pope Benedict noted that the richness of the saints is rooted in their choice of serving God over the quest for material goods.
La liturgia de hoy nos invita a moderar nuestro afán por los bienes materiales, que no son todo en la vida, sabiendo administrarlos bien y compartirlos, de manera que produzcan bienes más altos y duraderos.
At the conclusion, the Pope greeted the pilgrims in 7 languages and gave his apostolic blessing.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
Television viewers across the UK may not get the opportunity to see Pope Benedict when he visits there later this year. Workers at the BBC are threatening to disrupt TV coverage over plans to cut their pensions. Britain is home to 7.5 million Catholics. The blackouts would also affect the broadcast of a popular classical music concert, the Ryder Cup golf tournament, and all 3 of the UK's political party conferences. And some good news from England as the Tony Blair Foundation hands out awards for some good films. CNN's Richard Allen Green has that story.
This woman is my mother. When she was 24 years old.
What links this single mother in Nashville, Tennessee, with this ancient Muslim mosque in India?
Notice the carvings too, by the way. Intricate work.
The answer? Both are subjects of short films about faith made by young people for a competition started by former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. He started a faith foundation when he left office 3 years ago.
I still think it's fascinating, interesting, and important to know about people of different faiths. And some of the films actually show how many faiths have some of the same basic concepts about love your neighbor, about justice.
Esteban Pedraza is one of the contest winners. As an NYU film student, he hears about a lot of contests, but this one jumped out at him.
Well, faith is huge for me. You know, it kind of fuels everything I do. It fuels my decisions in life, and you know, it helps me with hope every day, and also, you know, it kind of gives me a purpose. So that's why I decided to make a movie about faith. Years later, when I was 4, a voice in her heart told her to move to Nashville, Tennessee.
His mother was an obvious subject. She moved from Colombia to Miami to Nashville, the young Esteban in tow, on the basis of her faith.
She felt like she needed to move there. She felt like God was telling her to move there, but she still didn't know why she was there.
But it wasn't always easy for her.
Every night she just prayed to God for hours and hours, to, you know, asking him to show her why we were there and to, you know, give her kind of a path and a purpose in life. And, you know, he came through on that.
She's now a successful businesswoman. Pedraza's subject, his single mother, couldn't have been closer to him. But Tariq Chowdhury, a runner-up in the contest, didn't find all of his subjects as approachable as Pedraza did when he set out to document 6 major faiths in London.
When I turned up at you know, one of the largest Hindu temples in London, you know, they see me, I've got a beard, clearly I'm a person who's Muslim, you know, and they're Hindu. You know, there's tension there already.
But he ended up being deeply affected by his effort.
By and large, I'd say it was the journey in making the film was far more incredible than what the film would suggest, and it's sad that I'm the only person who actually went through that.
Shiv Tandon's film explores a Muslim mosque in India, but it ends with a twist. The movie might appear to be about tolerance, but he insists it isn't.
I think the most important idea that that I really wanted to convey as the essence of faith is love, and it's not tolerance. It's not you know, tolerance is something negative, and you bear with something, whereas love is something that means acceptance. So I think the message was that no matter what faith you are, you should know the other faiths as well.
What is that on your head? Oh, I'm Hindu.
And then what I feel is inevitably you'll just fall in love.
And that is CNN's Richard Allen Green reporting there. Stay tuned, there's much more current straight ahead. Just ahead, young people in Queens get fired up.
If you begin to be what God says you are, you will make a difference. So for me, it's important that they learn what God says about them.
Welcome back. We continue our look at the Kujenga group and meet some young people ready to make a pledge and make a difference. That was the theme of a youth retreat held in Queens this spring, and it also had a special connection to the recently wrapped up year for priests, as we discovered when we stopped by to check it out.
Today we gather here at St. Catherine of Siena to celebrate with the young people of our diocese and the Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerned. And today, in a special way, the young people gathered to celebrate the Year of the Priest.
What I'm asking each and every one of you to do this afternoon as we leave is to make a commitment, to make a pledge, to make a difference in yourself, in your families, in your community, and in your church.
We want them to do something positive for themselves and their families.
as well as their communities. And of course, we want them to do something positive inside their churches, to be a part of their faith, to take an active role in their faith and bringing the good news of Jesus Christ out there to the world.
If you begin to be what God says you are, you will make a difference. If you begin to believe God right now and say to yourself, I am valuable. God has created me with a purpose. You know, I'm going to make a difference in my community. I'm going to make a difference in my church. I'm going to make a difference in my school. You see, that's the attitude that we need to have. A lot of times, young people hear a lot of things of who they are or who they should be or what they're going to be. And a lot of times, their lives are shaped by what other people say about them. And they begin to believe those things. And they begin to live out what others say about them. So for me, it's important that they learn what God says about them.
Heart of Jesus, fount of life and holiness. We will have a holy hour to pray for the priests in our diocese, to pray for vocations, to pray that God gives our priests the strength and the tools necessary to continue on with their ministry, because we need them. We don't have that many priests as we once did, and we need more young people to go towards vocations, as well as the priests that we have to keep going and to keep leading us in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
I came here to actually figure out what I wanted to do earlier, or what I was trying to figure out. Maybe I join the priesthood, maybe not.
I'm going to be nicer to my sister because we kind of fight a lot, so that's my plan.
I pray that they will leave this place encouraged by God, empowered by God, filled with God's presence and God's power, and that they can understand that, you know what, I can do all things in Christ, and that maybe somebody said that I couldn't, but today I found out that I can. And I pray that when they discover that they live in that, and they start producing those fruits, and others may know God through their new life.
Well, we just saw another familiar face in that report, David Bissono. He's the host of the Net's Too Blessed to Be Stressed. Well, David's also the founder and director of Jóvenes de Valor. He's been right here on this set to discuss his ministry, and you can hear more of what he has to say over on our website. Just go to currentsny.net. Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up. When we return, it's been around for 20 years. The Kujenga Group celebrates.
This is going to be a 20th anniversary this summer at Kujenga, and we're very much welcome to any young people who would like to come and learn about leadership and spirituality.
Finally tonight, the Kujenga Group may be for young people, but it has been around for quite some time. Earlier this year, the group got an early start on the celebration of its 20th anniversary. As we found out when we sent our cameras to the gala get-together, it was more than just a chance to party.
We thank you for all the pioneers of the Black Catholic movement in this diocese. We thank you for all the Kujengans who have walked through Brooklyn and Queens throughout the years.
This is going to be a 20th anniversary this summer at Kujenga, and we're very much welcome to any young people who would like to come and learn about leadership and spirituality. Spirituality being the main pillar.
Kujenga, it's more like a closed place. It's cut off from the world for 3 days, and it's just you and other people that are interested in the same things that you are. Like learning about God, learning about spirituality, learning about loving God, learning about accepting God when there's other people around. I learned how to do that and do it comfortably without being ashamed of my religion or having to hide it from certain people.
We recognized that there was a need to start up a program, a whole year program that runs from September to June. Now it's called the Ambassador Program, which is an offshoot of Kujenga, where these young people can come and sit with their peers and talk about spirituality and leadership at the same time.
My role in the ambassadors is
is to go out and tell people about the program, tell people what we do, what we have to do, what programs, and tell them basically about the church, what the church has for the kids, what the church can do for the young people, the choirs, the music ministries. There's many things that kids can do in the church. They just don't open their eyes to it.
They're going into a world that's so technological and it's so not real time, not real space, that I'm very concerned about, one, their social skills, their social abilities. Everything's abbreviated on the internet. Everything is in slang. Everything is cryptic talk. So you can't even have you get one of these young people, you try to have a conversation with them, and it's LOL, and it's a number sign, shout out. It's like, what are you saying to me? I'm trying to say, what is your name? We can't just say, get on Facebook, because everybody's on Facebook. Get on Twitter, everybody's on Twitter. We have to say, wait a minute, what about that is from the gospel and the kingdom of God? What about that isn't? How do we become the supernatural leaven of the kingdom of God that embraces the best of that, deviates from the worst of that, and brings everybody else together in between? It's a challenge most of us would cringe at, and we should, but with the grace of Christ we can face it. We're going to meet this challenge. We're just asking now how we do it, but we have to figure out how we do it.
Well, Kujenga held its weekend-long retreat this past weekend, and that was followed by a special mass and dinner to once again mark 20 years of the group's ministry. Congratulations, and keep up all the good work. Well, that is it for this edition of Currents. Coming up tomorrow, from rock and roll to the rock of salvation, we'll bring you an interview with one of the church's most popular troubadours. Until then, you can always check us out online at currentsny.net, and if you have a comment or a story idea, feel free to email us at dropusaline@currentsny.net. That's the email address. Be sure to also look for us on Facebook and Twitter. So for all of us here at Currents, I'm Francesca Maxime. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.